let's be honest about this. We know we all just do it for the gram.
Ho hum, what are you talking about? This was thrilling. We had a
ride.
power outage. We had Josh Duhamel. Carson Wentz has been impressing the hordes of media, watching his every move, his every step.
Most recently, they played in the 2017 and the 2019 FCS National Championship. Then it was off to the Lincoln Memorial, back on the bus, and the Bison are on their way home. Carson said no thank you, and then explained that he didn't want to eat them because they might affect his knee.
It doesn't matter if he pitches it. His focus is on that fullback and what way that foot is going.
Back to back to back to back to back to back threes on both sides. Being out here to cover NDSU's football team's visit to the White House will certainly do the trick. I found him. He's here.
My sources have told me to expect this. We got about 5 o'clock. I got it confirmed.
500 yards of total offense, 380 of those rushing yards. They had the opportunity to enter the Oval Office today, and the Bison come out in that I formation. James Madison's response, they put 10 guys in the box.
I am hardly detaching myself from this cell phone just yet because there's a whole lot of more questions still to come. With the 2020 Summer Olympics set to start in 51 days, Olympic trials are taking place to officially name this year's teams, including the Olympic swimming trials next week in Omaha, Nebraska. Amongst the hopefuls, a Fargo product that's made a once lofty goal a reality.
On most days, this is where you'll find Eric Anderson.
It's a lot. It's probably a minimum an average of like 3.5 hours a day.
The Fargo product has been swimming forever, but it was high school where he says he chose to make it his focus and where he set a goal that once seemed so far off, to qualify for the Olympic trials.
Going into freshman year, I wanted to qualify by the end of high school.
Coming into his senior year, Anderson was just half a second from the qualifying mark, and so the race was on.
A lot of the time it looked like a pretty lofty goal that you might not be able to achieve, but you're just shooting for it just to go for it.
And he did. At meets across the Midwest, Anderson shaved hundredths of a second off his time, race by race, all the while battling changing restrictions from COVID, cutting his typical swim time in half, but an improvement from when they weren't allowed to swim at all.
I just did a lot more dry land stuff. I've been in the weight room a lot more because weight rooms opened up earlier than pools did.
But the pandemic also oddly helped because the trials should have been last summer, but were postponed, and that left the door open for Anderson. He took full advantage with a focused and specific regimen the last couple weeks.
We changed everything and went all the sprinting, all the little details, working on like the small things and just focusing on how we can get better in those small things, and that's what I think really put it to the next level.
Anderson qualified in the 50-meter freestyle at the TYR Cup last month. His time, 23.03 seconds, 0.16 seconds faster than he needed.
It was pretty awesome because I saw my placing and then I saw everybody else's time, and there was a lot of times in that meet that actually made the exact cut that I was going for.
Always hungry for more, still Anderson has taken the time to appreciate this moment. Once just a dream that he himself has made a reality.
More of a life lesson than anything. It means you can put your mind to something and you can achieve it if you really want. And you just have to put in the time and the work.
A beautiful day for football. The Shrine Bowl kicked off with the 11-man East All-Stars and West All-Stars at West Fargo Cheyenne. A back-and-forth game. Things were tied right before half when everything came to a sudden stop.
Can we please get medical help down to the field immediately? Can we please get medical help to the field immediately?
Calls to 911 flooded the system, and those on scene reached for an AED while help rushed to the field.
All I could think of is getting to this man and doing whatever I could to help save him because he wasn't getting back up.
On a standard snap, the play went to the left, and as the white hat whistled the play down, he saw his comrade to his right in trouble, immediately rushing to his aid and setting off the emergency response.
Immediately checked for a pulse and started CPR, and there was another couple nurses with me, and we just did what we needed to do, and I think it was just more of a reaction at this point.
They connected the AED and issued a single shock, followed by more chest compressions.
Critical
thinking skills just jump into action. It doesn't matter where you are, who's around you, you just do what you have to do and you start with your basic ABCs.
The stands waiting in breathless anticipation, then saw movement.
I only had to do compressions for about 45 seconds before he came around, and just the pure look on his face and then looking up at his wife's face and seeing her relief that her husband is back now is just, everything I've ever done is worth it at that point. Even for that one patient, if he's the only person I've ever saved, it's worth it.
God puts us in places to help out, and all of us stood up and we knew that this is kind of why we are nurses.
The gentleman left the field in the care of first responders, awake and alert to another round of applause as the grandstand let out a collective sigh of relief and gratitude for those willing and able to help in any of our greatest time of need. Reporting in West Fargo, Beth Hoole, Valley News Live.
It's like they say, it's like riding a bike. I mean, anybody can do it, just get on and go.
It's a passion that started almost 3 decades ago, but was sidelined as life got in the way for Vince Webker. That is until his 50th birthday.
I was going to buy a Corvette. And then I got to think, well, what are you going to do with a Corvette? You're never going to use it. So I bought a new bike.
And boy, did he go. Bike paths, gravel roads, the open highway, all over town, all over the country.
I know every crack in these dirty sidewalks of Broadway.
As he got back in the swing, the goals started growing.
Yeah, I'm pretty stubborn, so when I decide to do something, I'm doing it.
Late last year, he set his sights on 10,000 miles.
5,000 in this climate's kind of the norm.
But Webker had already passed the norm.
It's been on one hand a job, almost full time.
And it was an uphill climb from the start.
Well, I came into January with 4 broken ribs. I fell off my bike in December.
And then came March.
I think if I didn't have the cycling, I'd be in a bad place mentally.
As the pandemic shut down most everything else, Webker's goal brought new purpose.
It's really all you had, and I just made the most of it and enjoyed every minute of it.
Working through a sprained knee around Memorial Day, Webker took advantage of the beautiful weather and rode. He ended up ahead of schedule, ready to claim his 10,000th mile before Thanksgiving.
At 4:34 p.m. on November 18th on a gravel road in western Minnesota, I made the guy stop. I said, I'm at 10,000, take a picture. That was about it, and then biked home.
In a year when so many plans have been canceled, Webker made it happen and even says he found a new perspective through the challenges, calling 2020 a blessing.
You don't know what that day's adventure on 2 wheels is going to bring, and you know, it's just a great day when you're on the bike.
Now for 2021, Webker plans to ride from Maine to San Diego, coming in at approximately 2,500 miles. Webker says the trip provides plenty of its own and different challenges from this year's 10,000 miles.